just as you guys maybe look back at a few things and assess the effort, the energy, did you feel like that was all on point and it was more execution stuff from last night that you guys can clean up?
Yeah, I think execution was a lot of it. I feel like we've been a really good execution team throughout the year and in the playoffs, and I feel like uh, yesterday wasn't up to par to what we feel like is our standard. And then also, I feel like our effort could have been better for the full 48. So I think, as in whole, I think all of it could have been better.
You guys all season have kind of stuck to what you guys do. You haven't panicked and switched gears like crazy. What were some of those maybe moments like that you can learn from? Of like, hey, we don't need to do things different. We just need to do it better. Did you have moments like that through the season that you can kind of lean on?
Yeah, for sure. I think just working together, offense and defense, it's a team sport for a reason, and you pick each other up. You move the ball on the offensive side. You help your teammate out on defense if he gets screened, or you help the low man out if he rotates. You rotate to his guy. So I think as a whole, we can all get better for that.
Jaylin, the two big lineup, obviously that's been a wrinkle, maybe toss up. Like in the regular season, every 5, maybe 10 games, it wasn't thrown out that often. But in this series, it feels like it's been a go-to in lineup. Just what's worked so well in those lineups in your eyes?
I think just Chet, he spreads the floor. I think that I'm able to spread the floor pretty good, and I think that it doesn't change much for the offense. Just knowing that we can both do those things, it doesn't clog up the paint. And then I like moving the ball, and I feel like it helps Chet because he doesn't have to worry about that as much. He can kind of focus on what he wants to do. He can shoot his shot, he can score, and then I feel like with a two big lineup, you got Chet down low, and like when Chet's at the rim, that's when he's his best self.
Yeah, and Dallas hasn't really been able to shrink the floor all the time the way they would hope to when they are able to seem to shrink the floor. Like, what are you seeing?
I mean, we all know that they're gonna throw a lot of guys at Shea, at Dub, at Chet on the drives. We know they're gonna clog the paint on the drives. So that's kind of just what we've been seeing throughout the whole playoffs.
Execution wise, what are the things that you feel like you guys could have specifically that you guys could have done better?
I feel like a lot of effort plays, defensive thing, just the contesting shots, uh, being there for each other, rotating like we know, personnel, just things like that.
How do you find the balance between giving Luka and Kyrie a lot of attention, but also trying to get out to those open shooters?
I think at this level, I think everybody's great players. Everybody can make plays, and we just got to execute the game plan. Our coaches give us a great game plan, and we just got to execute that.
Jaylin, you guys haven't lost in these playoffs. Are you interested to see how this team, this group reacts going into tomorrow with that first loss in the playoffs?
No, I think at the end of the day, it's still basketball. We played 82 regular season games. We had plenty of losses, and we lost back-to-back games, or we've lost before. So I think that we've been battle tested throughout the season, and I think this team is really confident in our ability.
For all the things that, we talked to you guys last night, and you mentioned like execution, things like that last night that weren't great. What did you like about what you guys did in game two? Anything stand out to you?
I feel like we competed. I think that we're a team that never really just gives up. We're always gonna keep throwing punches back, and I think the way that we competed has always been good.
PJ kind of led the Mavs outside hot shooting. I think he went 7 of 11 from 3. He's kind of a stretch wing. How do you just kind of limit those type of outbursts from him?
Yeah, PJ, he's a good player. We played him last season, of course, and he had really good games against us. And we know that he can shoot the ball. We know that he can do those things, and we just gotta go out there and play and hope that we can limit as much as we can.
Last night, you talking to Shea and Dub, didn't really seem down or anything. Seemed like it was more, we know what we got to do. What's the mood around the team after the first loss?
Yeah, it's to 4. It's not one game. It's one game at a time, but it's the first team to 4 wins. So you can continue to grow. You can continue to learn throughout every game, and we just got to get better.
Jaylin, you got out to a pretty strong start, just knocking down a couple of threes when you first checked in the first quarter, and then in game one, you had some really good shots in the first quarter as well. What has been working for you offensively? What are you looking for when you're out there, when you get those first few minutes there?
Honestly, I'm just trying to bring energy to the team. It might not come with scoring the ball. I've just been getting good looks. My teammates have been setting me up. I've just been getting good looks, honestly. But I'm just trying to come out there and bring as much energy as I can. And if that means hitting shots or shooting shots, that's what it is.
It's felt like you, Kaysen, Isaiah, Aaron, you guys have been really decisive when you're out there offensively. What's kind of led to that quick decision making for you guys?
I feel like it's just playing throughout the season. We know what we're supposed to do. We know what the team expects from us. The coach knows that when he puts me in the game, he's going to get energy. He's going to get a guy that's going to turn it side to side and create shots for my teammates, set screens, play hard, take charges, dive on the floor, whatever it is. And I think that us guys just want coach to know that that's what we're going to bring when we come in the game.
What did you make of the challenge last night?
Of the challenge,
Mhm.
I mean, they made. I'm not going to complain about the call. They obviously reviewed it. I think I've had charges that were more like set than that one, so I'm not upset with it.
Does it feel like they're like after you lose, because that's the second straight game Marcus lost his challenge in the first half? Does it feel like there are calls after that, maybe more frequently, that you want to get back? Like, does it feel that way?
I feel like throughout the whole game, there's going to be a lot of calls like that. It feels just like a normal game, honestly.
We always hear the playoffs are a time of adjustment since you're playing the same team over and over. Have you noticed a change in how much strategy is more of a theme in practice, and the adjustments? How prevalent are the adjustments, both New Orleans and now against Dallas?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more because, of course, in the regular season, you're playing a team. Then the next in 2 days, you're playing a whole different team, whole different personnel, different players, different city. But you're definitely preparing for the same team over and over. I feel like that's like evident.
Did you find against New Orleans, did the adjustments go up or down the deeper the series went?
I feel like you go up, of course, but I think every game is different. You learn from every game. You figure out what works. You figure out what doesn't work. And you're always going to learn from every game that's ahead of you.
Jaylin, you said your exact words were we've lost before. Those were Mark's exact words last night after the game. I just wonder how much of that is his message and just what was his message last night?
Just to continue to get better. One thing, like I'm sure y'all have heard as much as we have, just stacking possessions, and we can learn from every game. So we looked at the game film, just learn from it, get better, and try better next game.
You have lost before, but it had been 34 days. That's a long time in the NBA. Was it strange? Y'all say, oh yeah, this is what it feels like to lose because it's been so long.
No, I wouldn't say it felt strange because we've had stretches in the regular season. It might not have been however many games we were on this time, but we've had stretches of 5 games winning in a row, or we've had stretches of 2 losses in a row. So we went through different scenarios throughout the season. I feel like it's just we got to get better, and we lost before.
Jaylin, I know everybody's talked about the energy in the arena for these home games. Felt like last night there was a little bit of spice too between fans and the Mavs. Did you sense that, and did you enjoy sort of maybe not just the energy, but maybe sort of a little fire that's going on there?
Yeah, for sure. I love that. I love the energy. At the end, the Mavs fans were trying to cheer, and our fans were trying to overpower what they were saying. And it's fun. It's fun. It makes basketball fun. I feel like it hypes me up. I love playing when the crowd's yelling, when I can yell and you hear the crowd yell back. But it's fun playing in those type of environments.
Had you experienced something? Was last night a little different in your mind, maybe, than those first 3 home playoff games?
I would say maybe a little bit, just because I feel like there was more Dallas fans, just because it's a closer team than what New Orleans was. But I think that all the games so far have been super loud and super crazy.
Jay, well, you are usually going back to the locker room during the regular season because you practice early. But during this playoff time, the Thunder decided to open the door like 2 hours prior. So you get to actually communicate with the fans a lot. Like yesterday, you were signing all the fans all the way.
Mm-hmm.
How do you like the communicating with the fan before the game?
Yeah, I like it. They're coming to show the support for us, and I can get 15 minutes out of my day to give them an autograph or take a picture with them. And honestly, everybody's cool people. We're one big family. Like, I got a T-shirt with me and Dub on it, and it's really cool. I showed my dad. He was laughing. But, yeah, it's really important for me to just give back and show love to them the way they show love to us.
Throughout the season, but I just remember some times where you've talked about, like, we don't need to do anything drastic or make changes. We just need to do what we do better.
Yep.
Are there experiences that you guys, draw upon in a situation like this that is still a new experience for this team in the playoffs at least, but that you can kind of draw on in terms of that, like, hey, it's about executing our stuff, not about, doing something crazy different.
Yeah, I think, there's opportunities to improve from every game. We had opportunities to improve after game one. I thought we did a lot of good things last night. I thought there were a lot of good possessions on both ends of the floor. It's just a high-level game against a really good opponent that played well. And so when it's a high-level game, really good opponent, the opponent plays really well, the margin for error is thinner. And we just didn't have enough plays, to win that game last night. But we did a lot of things well. There's things that we definitely need to sustain as we go into game three, and obviously things we need to improve as well.
Mark, Josh is a minus 27 in 28 minutes this series. I just wonder what you've seen that's led to that.
Well, that's a great question in terms of what I've seen. What I've seen is like 3 years of Josh Giddey, and he's a very good player and a very important player to our team. And, in game 4 of New Orleans, I don't know that we close that series if he's not banging in shots in the fourth quarter of that. And so these games are, high stakes. They're obviously emotional. But I think it's important with every player, good, bad, whatever, to zoom out and see the big picture. And the big picture is he's been a very productive player for a long time. He's 21 years old. He's going to be a very productive player for a long time moving forward. He's a very important part of what we're doing moving forward. And so to overreact to how many minutes?
28.
28 minutes. I'm not going to be the person to do that.
And with that, it feels like the last time we even had this conversation extensively about Josh was in Dallas.
Yep.
After the deadline. What is it about this team that maybe highlights some of his deficiencies maybe?
I wouldn't phrase it like that, first of all. I wouldn't. I would say we've gone with different people on different nights against many different opponents. It's not isolated to one opponent. And every game in a series is different. So last night I made the best decisions I could to try to help us win game 2. Tomorrow I'll make the best decisions I can to help us win game 3. We'll see how the game unfolds tomorrow. As it relates to every decision I make, I can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow. But I can tell you that Josh is a very important part of what we're doing.
Mavs seemed a little bit more decisive and quicker with their movements on the offensive end. How do you game plan for that? Or try and
With their
like Luka passing out those doubles and the shots seem go up a little bit quicker, or the drive seem to
that's you're getting a high quality opponent that's playing with a sharpness and urgency that they played with last night. Which again, your margin for error isn't huge in those situations. Even given that, I thought we did a lot of good things. I mean, he had 19 points before he could blink, and then ended with 29. So on a night that he could have had 50, it turned out to be somewhat manageable. Irving had 9 points, which is hard to do. It's hard to hold him to 9 points. He had 11 assists. He obviously really distributed well, and those guys finished plays to their credit. But that's what you get against a really good team. That we're in a series. It's a second round series against a quality opponent that we respect, and it's going to be hard to win. It's going to be hard to win for us, hard to win for them.
What about like when they pass out of those double teams and it gets to those guys? Seems like last night didn't really have time to get to them because they were putting it up so quick as soon as they.
I'm sorry. I think their role players last night were very decisive on the catch. I give them a lot of credit. They played with a lot of confidence. They instilled a lot of confidence in those guys. Irving and Doncic made early plays, which I think helps with that. A lot of those shots we got late contests on, which is, kind of the plan. It's a game plan cost, as I said after the game last night. And those are the ones you got to bet on. As we look back at the film, there's a lot of plays that were not like that were like, man, that'd be the one to take out, and then there was enough of those in the game that we were like, okay, let's double down on the game plan. Let's tighten the screws on the game plan a little bit more. Let's eliminate some of these ones that are just like giveaways, or not eliminate, but limit them.
And then, do you have a philosophy on stopping one or two guys and saying the rest of you guys beat us, or letting one or two guys, paying a little bit less attention to them and trying to stop those other guys?
Every team's different. So like the philosophy is, first of all, understanding the uniqueness of every opponent, and not applying the same philosophy to every team. what a series affords you to do is, develop a very strong belief in the opponent you're playing and try to improve with the series, which is our challenge right now. We just have an unbelievable, respect for the potency of Doncic and Irving and their ability to score and then play make, with precision. And some of our game plan isn't just to limit the scoring; it's to limit the effectiveness of the playmaking. To your point, so. Those are all things we can improve at. I mean, Irving, we did a great job on his scoring last night. The 11 assists, some of those we were like late to the party on Irving, and he gets an assist as a result of that. Those are the ones that we have to improve. But we're talking about thin margins in both directions. I mean, we were probably a few plays away from that being a closer game last night.
Mark, you said last night that you were curious but not concerned about how, I think concern was your word, about how the guys would react to their first playoff loss. What did you sense today just about sort of where their headspace was?
Yeah, Joe asked me if I was curious, and I said I was confident. I didn't even use the word concerned. The guys are great. I mean, they're the same as they always are. I mean, I've seen this group of players in every situation. I've seen us after blowout losses, losing streaks, winning streaks, blowout wins now. Highly successful season, tough losses within that season still. And it's the same group every single day. I think the consistency of our players' character is something that we can rely on after a playoff loss and also after playoff wins. I mean, it's hard to manage the gaps of a win as well. And they've done a great job of that. And so I'll always bet on that.
The fact that, they did get a good night from Luka, did get all those assists from Kyrie, and you guys were still within striking distance, does that help the headspace of this team?
Yeah, and
They put themselves in position multiple times to.
Yeah, we took a lead in the third. We cut into it late in the fourth again. Just didn't break through, obviously. But the same's true of game one. I mean, we were a couple plays away from that being a closer game, and that's how these games work. I mean, the margins are thin. When it's two really good teams, we wouldn't be here if we weren't a really good team. They wouldn't be here if they weren't a really good team. And it's a heavyweight fight. And like I said last night, you're going to take some punches, you're going to throw some. We got to take one from last night. We got to go out there and be a better team in game three.
Mark, Jaylin came in here and kind of uttered the same words you did last night, just saying we've lost before. I just wonder how much of your message last night was that.
I don't try out a lot of new material with them, as you can probably tell. It's very thematic, and we try to make sure that the themes that we're hitting the team with are accurate and relevant to many different situations. And so I don't have to go in there and invent anything after that game. I mean, they know how to respond. They know what we're about. That's why you build that muscle over the course of the season. That's why you build that muscle over the course of seasons, so that when you're in these situations, you don't have to pull a rabbit out of a hat.
With that, obviously you guys have lost in the regular season, but to be on this stage, everything surrounding this team, the momentum it's had, surely there's a difference, right? It feels different at the stage.
That's why we talk about the gaps of a series. It's the stakes are higher. It's the playoffs. It's the pinnacle of competition. All these feelings that everybody has, me, you, during these games, is why it's so great to compete in it. I mean, we could be home right now. We'd much rather be 1-1 with Dallas than not playing at the highest level of competition in the NBA. And so it's a great opportunity for us. We'll learn, one way or the other with how we respond to each challenge. And our next challenge is tomorrow. We need to get ourselves to 0, be the best team we can be.
Mark, you opened the second half with Aaron. That's not a lineup you've used a ton this year. What is it about that lineup that you thought would be good for that time last night, but not so prevalent throughout the year?
Well, I don't know that anything's really prevalent throughout the year other than some of the more consistent lineups. I mean, we try a lot of different things. We put them in those situations throughout the course of the season so that they can adapt to anything. So doing double big last night, that was not like a high frequency lineup for us. We got enough of a look at it during the season to kind of understand what it was, get the guys comfortable enough with it. But those guys are used to playing with Wiggs. He's used to playing with them, and I think moving everything around allows you to be very flexible in those situations. And last night I just thought with the way they attack and what they present, that was the best thing for us in game two. But every game has a life of its own, as we learned from game one to game two. And so I can't tell you what tomorrow's game is going to be like. We have to go in there, throw our best punch, and then react to what's going on in the game, and that's what that was.
Mark, you haven't used the carriage much against the Mavs. just share the reason behind it, and also his fit to the team against the Mavs.
Yeah, like I said, with a lot of situations, like when I'm not using a player as much or at all, it's never really an indictment on that player. It's just thinking that, you know, the people that we are using are providing what the team needs. He's an important part of our team. As I've said before, we need him to be ready because of the level he competes at, the physicality he brings, the system skills he brings to the table. I have a lot of trust in him, obviously. He's built that over time. So we need him to be ready. But at the same time, you know, I also need to do what I think's best. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it right every single time. But the decisions I've made to this point are what I've thought has given us the best chance to win game 1 and game 2.
Mark, you mentioned heavyweight fighting a lot. You like boxing, or is that just a saying you like?
No, it's just the same. Yeah. I mean, I don't dislike boxing, but I wouldn't pretend to know much about it.
More.
Last one, so we gotta get to the plane.
I don't know if you would ask about this last night, but the challenge. What did you see or what did you make of the ruling?
I thought it was a good play to try to get, you know, to take the free throws off late in the second quarter. You probably only need like a 50% probability for a 2-shot foul to go get that play. I thought we had that. The fact that they spent the amount of time at the monitor tells you it was a close play. Scott told me it was a very close play. You know, it was basically a technicality, you know, that didn't get that overturned. If it were a charge on the floor, I'm not sure that they would have overturned a charge to a block. I think the play was that close. You know, so again, I'm going to be aggressive with those plays because 2 points in the second quarter is worth the same as 2 points in the fourth quarter. I understand the opportunity cost of losing it, but at the same time, I don't know that there was another play in that game that, you know, I would have been able to have the same probability for the same impact. And, you know, as a result, I'm going to stay as aggressive as I've been all along.